Similar to texture, soils also contain different shapes or structures within them. Soil structure refers to the physical mold of a soil, and there are 8 different options for the soil structure: granular, crumb, platy, prismatic, simple grain, blocky, columnar, and massive. I don't want you to necessarily memorize these, but it's just good information and interesting information to know, because personally, I never thought that soil could have shapes within it. I just thought that was super cool. So we're going to talk about that here. Granular, small, non-porous, strongly held together shapes, okay, or structure. So non-porous, remember porosity means the ability for water and air to run through. So if it's non-porous, it's not going to be able to soak in a lot of that water and air. Crumb, small, porous, and weakly held together. Platy is going to be flat or plate-like right over here. And it's going to usually cause slow permeability because we're stacking our different structures like that. Okay, so it's going to take a long time for that water and our air to trickle through and become permeable. Still possible, but takes a lot longer. Prismatic or columnar, both of these kind of go together. Prism-like with the vertical axis greater than the horizontal. So that basically means, just like it sounds, so it's going to be longer than it is wider. Prismatic has flat caps, while columnar has rounded caps. Blocky, my personal favorite, is block-like with 6+ sides, and all 3 dimensions are about the same size. Structureless is when there is no apparent structure, and it can be found in 2 forms: single grain or massive, and then these are both here. Single grain is when soil particles exist as individuals and do not form aggregates. Now, you're probably wondering what an aggregate is. An aggregate is a clump. So if you've ever reached into a bucket of, let's say, fertilizer or soil, and there's those clumps, okay, that is called an aggregate. Okay, and then you can break that clump and it'll break off into smaller grains or pieces. That is an aggregate. Aggregates are held together by something called humus. Humus is a type of organic matter. And organic matter is things like that are composted or manure, things like that. So organic matter is what a humus is, and humus helps hold those particles together to form aggregates. Massive, however, is soil particles that cling together in large uniform masses. Okay. So that is all we have today for the importance and introduction to soil science. Tune in next time to learn a little bit more about soil horizons, which is very fun as well. Our learning targets for the day, hopefully you can do these, and if not, feel free to go on back and watch the videos again, or let me know and I can definitely help you out. First, I can articulate the importance of soil in my daily life. We did that through the little quadrant folding exercise that you did. Number 2, I can describe the elements and properties of soil, sand, silt, and clay. We know that some soils have better properties for doing certain activities than others. So some crops prefer wetter soil, so we probably can grow it in more clayier soils because the water is going to be able to cling and retain itself within those clay particles because the particles are smaller and they can absorb more. Okay, the third one, I can demonstrate proper use of a textural triangle to determine a soil texture. And we know that there's 2 different methods, the ribbon testing and the lab analysis method that we can use to determine the soil texture. We know that the lab test is going to be a lot more precise, but be a little more expensive and time consuming, whereas the ribbon test requires you to learn a little bit more about how your soils look and feel within your hand, and you can't necessarily say which one of the 12 classes it is, but something more broad, like coarse or finely coarse as your textural class. So there you have it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next video about soil horizons.